Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much for leaving the platform for us. Both me, this is Khalifa Banu here. Me and Hassan Mondal are from Azim Premji University. Both of us are from School of Education. I'm sorry if there is some background noise that is disturbing. Education. All of us know that now all the educational transactions have been shifted to online mode because of the current COVID-19 pandemic situation. I remember we also had a presentation yesterday by, I am forgetting the name, who took us through the online education. He was also talking about certain challenges and possibilities, but in a broader sense. On the similar lines, we also had a research around online education, but we have given a different taste to it by adding teacher education component to it. We specifically have looked at the pre-service teacher education program, which is now forced to be done online. The idea of looking at the idea of choosing specifically pre-service teacher education that has been done online was I mean it's coming from, we have seen that people are more immersed in, nowadays people are more immersed in looking at the COVID-19 situation, its effect, commerce, business line, industry, and education in its overall sense. We have seen a very limited research or a very limited attention has been paid towards the teacher education component of education. So we basically have tried looking at how our future teachers are getting prepared in online mode. We know that in education, teachers and students are the most important stakeholders. Before beginning this research, we had a basic question or a dilemma that how is it even possible to prepare our future teachers online who are going to go to physical classrooms and standing in front of hundreds of students and teaching over there. So that question made us take up this research and have a study to understand our question. So why teacher education? So we believe teacher education is one of those courses which has, the significant applied component in it. Applied component in the sense the practice component or the practical component that play a very, very vital role in teacher education courses. In order to just take you through the background of the research, sorry, we have a PPT. Hassan Mondal is sharing it. You can just have a look at the PPT along with hearing my words. The purpose of PPT, all of us understand. Purpose of PPT is to keep your attention through the presentation. We just don't want to lose out your attention from our presentation since this is an important topic. I'll just take you through the background that has already been shared, sir. Nurul Huda, do you see the PPT or are you able to look at the PPT? Can I
Yes,
go
it's
ahead?
visible. Yes,
Okay,
you go ahead.
sorry. Okay, I'll go ahead. Introduction, I've just explained it. I'll just take you through the background of our research. We have just done a case study at Aligarh Muslim University Center, Jangipur, Murshidabad, at West Bengal. It is a very small case study that we have done at a B.Ed college of Aligarh Muslim University. There are several courses which are applied courses. Applied in the sense I just have explained, which have the practical component in it. And teacher education is one such applied course. There are generally a set of challenges. Like the other day, a person whom I just mentioned, he was explaining about online education. He was also talking about this. There are generally a set of challenges in online mode of teaching and learning, but there are specific challenges with applied courses like teacher education. In the case of teacher education, that applied part is even more precarious because here a teacher has a situation where he or she needs to go and teach in a classroom, and now The entire setting of the classroom has suddenly been changed. The curriculum and the entire theory component is now prepared to adopt that change. The entire theory part is geared for teaching happening in a real classroom situation where face to face interaction is the primary mode of interaction, in which other TLMs are just a part of that, like the use of computers, etc. And online was rarely used and maybe one of the options, but not very frequently used options in the regular or the traditional mode of education. But now, as all of us know, online has become so central to teaching and learning. This intervention has brought in a very new and a challenging situation for the curriculum designers, planners, teacher educators, administrators, and more so for the student teachers in a teacher education program or the future teachers. The student teacher's dilemma in the current mode of teaching learning is worth looking at, as they will become future teachers in our classrooms where they have to interact face to face with students, but they're getting trained through in and for online classes. Hence, there will be obvious concerns around the current mode of training or the teacher education and the future engagement with students. If I have to tell you about the methodology that we used in our research, was the nature of work was majorly qualitative in nature, and we have used, we had a casual talks with student teachers and teacher educators. We also had semi-structured interviews or semi-structured telephonic interviews, Zoom call interviews, and all. This is basically done online only, as there is no possibility of visiting the center. That was about the methodology and the basic background why we took up this research. And I'll quickly take you through the findings and discussions that we have come across throughout this research. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. We have divided this entire report into two different perspectives. One is from student teachers perspectives and another one is from teacher educators perspectives. I'll firstly take you through the student teachers attitude or student teachers perspectives towards online learning, and what do student teachers think about online mode of education as they'll become the future teachers in our education industry. So, firstly, they believe one of the possibilities that they find is online mode of education is very flexible in terms of time and affordable in terms of cost. I believe it's very much self-explanatory. I just don't need to stretch it and explain it, but still, this online classes, we can do it at any point in time. We just do not need to follow a rigid structure or rigid schedule of 9 to 5 classes. We can do it in the midnight. We can do it in the morning whenever we wake up, and it's very flexible in terms of time and cost. We just have to have the gadgets that can have internet connectivity and all. That's very flexible. And the other thing, that's the only possibility that student teachers have found as per this research. And the other things are just the challenges that they're facing throughout these online mode of education. The spatial diversity. There are several aspects of online learning that explain why it is or it can be a greatest revolution in the current education system. But besides having a number of possibilities or the advantages the online education has, certain limitations of its own. One of the basic necessities of online mode of education is the internet connectivity. All of us know this already. Without having a strong internet connection, it is nowhere possible to access online education. Uh, an ample percentage of students in the institution are from marginal sections of the society. I'm referring to only one institution here, but it can be broadly applicable to the entire education industry here. Since the large percentage of students in the institution are from marginal sections of the society or are from rural parts of the country, at present, when all of them have sent home due to the nationwide lockdown, They're facing a lot of issues in getting access to the online classes because of no or a weak internet connectivity. That is must to get access. Internet connectivity is must to get access to the online classes, and that is not available, or that is not affordable by a certain percentage of people in our society, percentage of students in our society. Apart from internet connectivity, electricity has also become one of the major concerns in the remote areas of the country that restricts the process of learning. In the light of developing countries like India, there certainly have limitations as far as the bandwidth connection and technical assistance are concerned. More so, not all students have access to smartphones and laptops. Hence, the availability of required gadgets like computers, laptops, mobile phones is quite essential to enjoy the advantage of online education. And the other thing, obviously, is digital literacy and technical glitches. Zoom. Zoom, all of us know Zoom now, but when the lockdown happened, when the online mode of education, am I talking to myself? Am I there in the meeting?
Yes, yes, very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Zoom, I believe majority of us did not know what Zoom is before lockdown happened, before online mode of education came into common contact. So majority of us needed to have the separate education about Zoom and about other applications that have been used in online classes and all. So along with the gadgets and connectivity, there are other concerns too at the student teachers end. The majority of the students are not so used to the technological medium that contains unique formats and symbols. The applications used for the sake of classes like Zoom, I just mentioned, and WebEx, Google Meet, etc., were not known to the majority of the student teachers prior to the beginning of the classes online. The availability of adequate guidance or the technical and moral support on its usage is a compelling need for one to be able to understand it better. A large part of students' body has complied that the operation of the initial part of the classes online was a great loss of their entire B.Ed program, the entire teacher education program. One of the students mentions that until I learned the usage, the classes for the semester were over. So the one semester, the entire semester was kind of a loss to the students. All of us knew that this lockdown happened and the COVID situation came in the middle of academic year. So the schools and colleges did not have a separate time to educate the teachers and students about this online, about the different parts of this online mode of education. They just rush towards completing the portion, having exams and just completing the course. So introducing this online education at a time and just running behind completion of the course was just like just was a biggest loss in the lives of several students. Another thing, students, this is just a commonsensical, and this is also a very self-explanatory that we were just doing a compromise with the curriculum. So that was very uncertain and unprecedented that COVID situation happened and online mode has come in a common contact. So before that, the curriculum was designed for the physical classes, physical meaning the in-person classes. There was no time to design separate curriculum for the online mode of classes. The same curriculum that was designed for in-person classes was taken through in online mode as well. The entire current syllabus is based on the theory practice formula, where equal amounts of practice should be done for the theory that one goes through. But this formula gets deteriorated when it comes to online education. Therefore, There is no possible substitute for the practice component. It gets, just a second, I'm so sorry. Give me a minute. I'm so sorry. Yeah, where was I? I was talking about the curriculum and the compromise that the teacher educators and student teachers were doing with the existing curriculum. The curriculum that was designed for the in-person classes, the same curriculum was taken into consideration in the online mode as well. So therefore, as there is no possible substitute for the practice component, it gets difficult to deal with the only theory component. It is even difficult to study only theoretical concepts all the way throughout the semester for a course like a B.Ed, where internship or the practical component has a deeper importance. And then students having an encouraging active interactions is at the heart of any teacher education program, where teachers learn by interacting with others and thereby practicing the same. This has been followed by NCFTE 2010. But the learning through sound social interaction has got a shorter space in online education. Many of us often need someone to be standing on our head, directing us to do our work. The people who are completely dependent on teachers and the classroom teaching are affected the most in this online kind of teaching learning. The availability of teachers as a guides to whom we can visit whenever we need them for the academic help is somewhere disappeared to some extent. And students who are used to hard copies of reading materials or dependent on the physical library have suffered a lot during these times. The student teachers in online mode are getting trained for and in online classrooms, but they'll become teachers in the physical or the traditional classrooms, which is the biggest dilemma nowadays that every teacher is having. Hence, there comes a larger gap between the training of the teacher educators and the actual work that they do in the future. And distracted home environment, all of us know being at home and doing classes is not kind of possible by majority of us. And home environment, all of us know that there are festivals, there are guests coming in, and a lot of other issues happen. There are kids at home, and it's kind of distracted home. A majority of the homes, I'm not generalizing it, at majority of the homes it is kind of distracted environment, and being at home and studying is kind of difficult. And here also majority of the student teachers have acknowledged that it is very difficult for being at home and doing all sorts of studies and all. And that was briefly all about student teachers waves. I'll just quickly take you through teacher educators perspectives in this online mode of education, about this online mode of education. Some of the teacher educators, I'm sorry I missed it. Do I need to explain the terms teacher educators and student teachers?
Okay, you can, but there are people from the background as well. If you can just
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can I take it at the end, or I just need to do it in between?
no, you can do it as you wish, no problem.
Okay, okay. So I'll just do it in 2 seconds quickly. Student teacher. I'm talking about a B.Ed program where teacher educators are the one who are the teachers of the students, and by student teachers I mean who are the students at a B.Ed college who are going to become the future teachers, and the teachers who are teaching these students are teacher educators. And I'll take you through the perspectives of teacher educators. And majority of the teacher educators believe that this online mode of education was brought in new learning opportunities with it. And some of the teacher educators find some comforts in online learning, like student teachers. The teacher educators also acknowledge the fact that online learning is cost effective and very flexible in respect of time and place. With the beginning of this new medium of teaching learning, the teacher educators got an opportunity to learn more about technology and other media. And there is enough time with the teacher educators to plan for a class, as they do not physically have to go to the institution and teach. The travel from home to institution itself takes a lot of time, and where here at this time teachers believe, teacher educators say that they have got a lot of time to prepare for the classes and all. And there would often another important possibility or the advantage of this online mode of teaching learning is that often be the recordings of the classes available in online education, unlike traditional classrooms. That was about the possibilities or the advantages that teacher educators are finding with this online mode of education. And I'll talk about the challenges or not, I don't call it as problem, but challenges that can be resolved. One is single mode of teaching. In online classes, the most possible mode of teaching is lecture cum discussion model. But given the issues the student teachers have, it finally sticks to a lecture mode teaching only, which undoubtedly creates a boring classroom environment. Unlike traditional classroom, the online classrooms often become a boring classrooms where the only mode of teaching that is possible is lecture come discussion model, and sometimes that discussion is also not possible. Like now we are saying majority of us videos are off, even including mine. Majority of us are on mute. We don't understand who is doing what and whether students are listening to the teacher or not. So that is one of the major hindrance that teachers or teacher educators have found in this mode. And we have seen that there are very few measures that have been taken that help them build their self confidence, motivate them, and educate them with the new inputs in the current system of education. And as I've just mentioned, it came in all of a sudden, and there was no time to sit with them separately and educate them about the usage of this technological mediums. And we just ran through the completion of certain content certain content of the curriculum. So there are very few measures that are taken to help the teacher educators and the student teachers. And of course, the technological challenge and inclusiveness. Many traditional teachers do not even know, the traditional teachers in the sense the teachers who are a little older and who do not know or know a very little usage of an Android mobile device or a normal computer. In that case, they are completely unable to do their jobs in online education. Many are struggling with technology and its usage, which has a direct impact on the future of the students. One of the teachers also mentions that there is a lack of skills that are required for online teaching learning among the teacher educators, which is forcing them to stay away from its complete effectiveness. And we have also seen that some of the older teacher educators often used to mention that I don't know how to use an Android mobile phone, and I am not able to sit with the computer, that's why I'm not taking the classes. Such kind of statements were there from the teacher educator, and there are very less measures that have been taken in support of those teacher educators. And those who knew the usage of technology went ahead and did their jobs, but those who do not know are somewhere ignored in this global omnipresent learning process. The preparedness of a teacher and a student is a must thing to go ahead with any kind of teaching learning process. And I'll talk about inclusiveness. This is somewhere it's very much relevant, and it's very much the bonding issue of these days. There is diversity in this institution in terms of the in terms of region, caste, gender, and backgrounds. All kinds of students with varied learning abilities study here. Online medium caters to the diversity of learners, but in some ways it ignores those who cannot afford it or who cannot access it. We strongly believe that online it may be looking at it from one lens. One lens says that online education brings everybody at one common space, and it caters to inclusiveness. But looking at it from another lens, it doesn't cater to the inclusiveness. It creates a bigger hindrance to the inclusivity, where the students who are not or who do not have access to internet connectivity and required gadgets are somewhere ignored in this global platform of global online platform of education. So that so the social institutions of the society are also playing a very important role in this mode of education. And now the adaptability and exploration. All of us know that it is a human tendency that it takes a little time to adopt to new things at once. The the readiness to work towards its adaptability is very crucial. At some point in time, the teacher educators and the student teachers both were not ready for this mode of education, which itself was the biggest challenge. And yes, I'm sorry, I'll just clarify this. This research was done in the very beginning of the online, when the online education came in common contact. It was done, the study was done in the very beginning of the situation. Since online mode of education is not a commonplace task for all the teachers, there are hundreds of hindrances or the glitches at a pedagogical level also. The kind of pedagogy used for an in-person class is far more different from the pedagogy used in an online classroom. It is moreover a virtual classroom of around 50 student teachers at once, where eye contact is hardly possible. So I just mentioned the issues earlier. Also, I've just mentioned the issues that happen in a classroom in online mode, and that were the bigger or the very important issues that teacher educators and even the common teachers are also facing in these times. And I'll talk about social factors and interruptions, like I was mentioning in case of student teachers, that distractions at home and all. And there are several social factors that may or that are interrupting the educational transactions nowadays. The social factors cause troubles for teacher educators, in a sense, being the elders at home. I'm talking about teachers being the elders at home or being with family and kids. It is too hard to keep aside a specific time for the academic purpose. Like earlier, the teachers had a specific time as 9 to 5 kind of a thing, but now it has been demanded by them to spend much of the time in classes and all. And that's the flexibility has been taken into consideration kind of a thing. And one of the teacher educators also mentioned that we cannot stop our children from playing or to talk. They move here and there at home, they shout, they fight, and we cannot explain to them about our classes. Many a times this disturbs a classroom environment. The disturbances at home will have an effect on the classroom environment in an online classroom, like I was mentioning, festivals, arrival of kids playing, etc. And here the flexibility taken for granted kind of a thing. And I'll talk about internship component. Internship component is the most important component of a teacher education program. It's, we believe, internship, or I was mentioning, practical component of a teacher education program is internship, or the teachers visiting to the schools physically or in person and practicing their teaching. Internship is the soul of a teacher education program, without which a teacher education program is not complete in its complete effectiveness. And student teachers in this internship component, I'll just briefly explain out. They have to visit the schools in person for about 12 to 20 weeks for practicing their teaching. And now the student teachers believe, and also teacher educators believe, that it is hardly possible to do internship online, and it is not possible at all to do internship online, because it demands teachers to go to the schools in person and practice their teaching. And there are already set of challenges with this internship component in this physical mode of education, which are like no opportunity for teachers to examine their own biases and perspectives, belief of student teachers to adjust to the school curriculums, and a lot of other challenges that NCFTE 2010 mentions. Along with those challenges, now it has been believed that this online mode puts fuel to these already existing challenges. It increases the number of drawbacks that the existing internship model has. And also, it is very self-explanatory that there is no possibility of getting real life experience online. And as for the stakeholders in a teacher education program, yeah, I'm just skipping some points. If this It has been believed that if the situation continues to be online, there has to be an alternative to be explored. I'm repeating, to be explored for the internship component, though nothing can replace the actual internship, that is the practical component, that is nowhere possible to be done online. And I'll just quickly go to the conclusion part of it. At the end, the question that appears is, how likely are we to recommend online education to our next generation, specifically to the teachers? Online medium is of great importance when it comes to the teaching learning process, provided the good quality internet connectivity and the availability of technical gadgets that are required. Among the participants who participated in the research, 38% of the participants believe that online teaching learning is better than traditional one, whereas 62% of the student teachers and teacher educators, meaning the majority of the participants, believe that traditional learning is better than online learning. And 80% of the participants believe that online education reduces the inequities among the students of diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, but 20% of the participants believe that it magnifies the inequities and or inequalities in this online mode. But 100% of them believe that a blended learning, or the mixture of both online and traditional learning, is an advanced and most preferred option. Therefore, the education in the virtual world brings in certain concerns with it that differ as per the students and teachers' regional, religious, social, economic, and cultural backgrounds. A teacher education program is yet to get acquainted with the online mode of education, and yet to explore certain things in respect of its practicality, since there are a very few examples of the measures taken for the preparation of teachers for and in online environment. And the summation kind of a thing that the this research paper says is that this online medium can only become the supplement to to the current education, but not the substitute of it. That's all. Thank you for bearing. I think I've taken a lot of time.
This is really fascinating, and I'll really start with your last conclusion that it can't be, it's complementary, but it cannot be like it cannot compensate or substitute, right? This is
It can
very
just
true.
supplement, but not the substitute.
Absolutely, it's yeah, correct. And Professor Suranjan Das and few other few other educators and educationalists, they have extensively written on these issues of online cases. By the way, I just like to point out few things, and then we'll open the floor for discussions. And uh, this is really very important aspects of the online things, and especially the teachers pre-service teachers educations. And I mean, like the future teachers and how they're going to train the students and our future generations. I'll give you 2 3 examples, and then we'll open the floor for the further discussions and question and answer sessions. I'll give an example from the way we have sort of privatized our health system, health entire healthcare facilities, and our media. I mean, like, with this rise of course, there are a lot of advantages as well. But apart from advantage, as you have rightly pointed out, that there will be a new concept of freelancing teachers, like freelancing journalists. We'll be having a freelancing teachers, like, well, there will be a fact will be like one person will be associated with many such institute, but without kind of permanent in nature. They will be like freelancing teachers. And also it has a very collateral damages, like the way there has been a lot of research on the kids, on the students, especially from 4 to up to the age group of 14, 15. We see the students they are more attracted towards a lot of websites and apps and all sorts of disturbing advertisement and online games and all these days. In almost in this has been an household problem, that without Chota Bheem or without this kind of app, maybe in Pakistan, there are a lot of, all parts of the world, there are different kind of online games for the for so-called games for the children's. And how these online classes is basically throwing them to that directions, and how this is creating in collateral damages as far as their development of cognitive or the brain is concerned. And then last, I would like to argue that there has been in studies by Professor Jodres and Amartya Sen about the issues of public education, and how, if you look at the entire country, right, whether it is Telangana, Mahbubnagar, or Adilabad, or Guntur, or Murshidabad, you see that a majority of our students from marginalized communities, especially SC, ST, OBCs, and Muslims, they go to sarkari schools, like public schools. And if you look at the conditions of public schools, even before pandemic and right at the time of pandemic, and at the present conditions, this is an absolutely pathetic in terms of engaging with the students. And it's almost near to impossible that the kind of poor infrastructures, both physical infrastructures as well as teacher student ratio, and the lack of other infrastructure in order to have an online class, this is absolutely missing. And how this is going to impact, maybe if you, I mean, we have conducted few surveys that in Bengal itself, a large number of students have been, they're going to, I mean, already dropping out from the courses, joining some, child labor things are increasing rapidly. They're going out of their districts for in search of livelihood and job. So this has really increased a lot. And the last point I would just I would to share, like to share I mean, real time story from a Mahbubnagar, how deeply unequal structures, social structures we have in a school in Mahbubnagar district of Telangana. There, I'm talking about 2 3 years back, and Mr. P Sainath, a famous rural journalist, has documented these stories. And P Sainath is arguing that when he went to Mahbubnagar, a sarkari school, a public school, that during the time of summer, and Mahbubnagar in the summer time is of course it's very hot. That time, in that hot summer, parents of a few tribal students went to the headmaster of that school and appealed and requested the headmaster not to, not to increase the, the days, holiday days. Rather, they are basically requesting to decrease the holidays. And because if they go to school, at least they'll get at least they get a midday meal, which basically helps them to acquire sort of nutritions. And also this said that, especially Saturday Sunday, when the schools are closed, they said not to close Saturday, and even if you are closing, but at least give a good meal on Monday a bit early, because the Saturday Sunday they don't get that much of proper nutritious food in at their home. So if, and on the other hand, if you see the schools like DPS and Sangaskriti school in Delhi, where when the students right from the once they enter into the air conditioned bus to air conditions washroom, and in that once the school enter into the school premises, they see display board that which day and which cuisines and which cooks are what kind of foods are being prepared. If this sort of an absolutely hierarchical and unequal structures we have in our society and in our institutions, what would be the fate of public educations in a post pandemic phase? This is my first I mean sort of questions or whatever it is you call it. And then second is that, do you think that this what would be the future sort of you know constitutional, the kind of promises we have in our constitutions about the idea of public educations, and how these online stuffs and online things going to I mean whether it is going to be helpful or going to be kind of a backlash into the entire process of giving free educations to all. With these few questions and observations, now the floor is open. If anybody would like to raise questions, or you want to ask anything, any clarifications, observations, questions, please feel free to ask our speakers. There is one questions by Abdul Bashir. What is the future of primary school education of poor people, 85% of populations in West Bengal in the next 5 years? This is a
Ca-
serious question.
Can
Yeah, please go ahead.
can we even predict it?
Sorry,
No, is asking. Okay, he said you can. Hassan, would you mind taking it up? Hassan, are you there?
Hassan, unmute yourself. Okay, Khalifa, you can go.
Yeah, given we have just taken you through the challenges and possibilities that are there in the online mode of education, and if I don't know whether this is talking about specifically online or in general.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Hassan, would you want to go ahead? You are audible. Go ahead.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes, Hassan, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, actually, I am having some technical issues. That's why I could not intervene in between. I just want to quickly respond, Professor Abdul Matin's concern. Yeah, you have stated very truly that what the kind of the issues we have been through and the public education. I just want to share with an experience, and I hope that would be the response. I'm currently working with Ajin Panchi Foundation in the Chhattisgarh and the Bemetara districts, and we have been trying. Actually, Ajin Panchi Foundation is mainly working with public schools and public education systems, and to boost the public education systems. So we have been requesting all the teachers that why government is not taking any steps to reopen the schools because of lots of issues. But the students who the main reason the government is not opening school because of the COVID-19, right? But we found that when we do research in our own level, that students who are in the mainly the primary stage, they already are meeting in their mohalla, or in their surroundings. The students are meeting each other, and hardly they have COVID literacy and so that is there any social distance they are not maintaining. So what is the problem with the opening of the public schools? Then there is a lot of issues and we can't intervene. So what we are doing mainly, we are not mainly motivating teachers to go to their mohalla or the para, and with the maintaining social distancing and take some classes in their with the 25 or 30 students and start education systems. So teachers, few teachers are getting, we're getting few good response from teachers, and teachers starting. And where teachers are not taking interventions, we as an organization taking those interventions. So me as a Mohalla class teacher, I am now presently, and I found that the 9 years month, the gap, the gap of the nine month due to the pandemic situation since March and the December, there's a lot of learning gaps we can found, and we have been predicting that this will cause lots of dropout, and what Professor Abdul Mutin is saying, other students will be they will involve in the kind of child labor or other works, and students are not taking if are not getting the educations. And the public education is mainly the poor and the marginal section of the society are mainly the public schools, government schools. The private schools has already started online mode education, having their own challenges and limitations, but at least they are getting some educations. But the poor and the marginals, who are the government schools is the only only hope for them, they're totally detached. So I would request a base to take such kind of interventions, especially for the marginal communities, to start those kind of Mohalla classes until and unless this courses that the government opening the public educations. Yeah, hope I my response to satisfy you all. If anything need clarification, please let me know.
Thanks, Hassan Mandal bhai. I mean, and let me just say a few words about base. And I mean, right from the pandemic, or post lockdown, even during the time of lockdown, we have been engaged with different schools and colleges, especially in the rural areas of West Bengal, right from Sundarban to North Bengal, Kuch Bihar. We have been, like, apart from providing few other educational materials, we also been constantly engaged in motivating them. But it's really a tough job. We need a public enterprise, but anyway, we are working, and I'm sure that beyond academic commitment, we required people like you and dedicated researchers like both of you and others, that do involve in the base and do democratize our education system, and we would really love to engage with you.
Yeah, sure, Professor Patil. We'll love to be part of it.
We'll of course always be there.
Thank you so much. Any other, we have people, scholars from other discipline as well, you would like to intervene? I could see Professor Tinat Ruxana and others. Kaifia, answer, ma'am.
Yeah, there is one question for Khalifa, that how do you see suicide of students caused due to technical and economical disparities? Would you like to respond, Khalifa? In the chat box, there is a question.
I think some technical issues, right? Just wait for a moment. Let her join. Yeah, you're audible. I think Khalifa, she is facing some technical issue.
Okay.
If you want to respond, please, you can also respond as well.
Okay. Abid Hasim bhai, your issues is good. Actually, let me just. Our research is not related to that. Research is totally, teacher educations. And please let me respond to your question, that suicide, actually there is a few instances that students are getting suicide because students they are not able to join online classes, and parents are not not giving them any devices because of that. Actually, we have to take these interventions from the very policy level. That first of all, we cannot stop online classes because at least online classes are giving education to few percent of the society, not all. But how to make it accessible to all? I need to think that there need a political will from the government sense, and I'm quite hopeless due to that this neoliberal the government with neoliberal agenda that they will take those kinds of interventions for public educations. Yeah, we need to wait for the political will and the 6% of the GDP to expense on the education system. Then we can get the online education. But there is an interesting research from by the Ajim Premji University that online education is totally ineffective and inadequate at all. We cannot go with these online education systems. Let me read out some the major findings that more than 80% teachers express the impossibility of maintaining an emotional connect with the children in this mode, online education mode. This is the study done over all over the India and collected data from almost 50,000 teachers, and it has published in NDTV also. You must have seen. I don't know, you'd have seen. And the more than 90% teachers responded that no meaningful assessment of children learning was possible in online classes. Almost 50% teachers reported that children were unable to complete assignments. And there is almost 60% children cannot access online learning opportunities. The study also aimed at understand parents' attitude and concern towards interrupted learning caused due to pandemic. Parents have overwhelmingly supported reopening of the school with necessary safety protocols. The online the online education, it could be the as Khalifa said, for the few time beings we can do it, but it is not effective at all from the educators and educationist point of view, and the data also says so. Yeah, I hope you got my response.
Yeah, thank you. Khalifa, you would like to respond that last questions by Abdul Bashir Saab. What is the projected dropout rate in West Bengal in next 24 months from class 1 to 4?
Khalifa actually is basically from Karnataka. She must not have.
Okay. Then if you can respond, please do that.
Yeah, Abdul Bashir bhai, it is very hard to say that, but yeah, obviously your concern is, I acknowledge your concern. Yeah, we are expecting a huge dropout rate from, in the private, especially from the marginal section and the marginal districts like, Malda, Murshidabad, and marginal society from SST and Muslims community. Mainly Muslims will be get badly affected by it. But we can't predict in number and percentage like that. Yeah.
I just like to add one point with the Hassan Bhai's argument that from class 1 to 4 we won't see much dropout. Dropout will actually begins right after class 5. Once class 1 to 4, mostly they will be right at the home and will be nearby only. The dropouts will begin. I mean, like generally used to be there at from class 8, 9 onwards, but now that will reduce to class 6 onwards. I could see because my recent experience in North Bengal recently, I was there and I went to like North Bengal means I went to Alipurduar and Kuch Bihar and Jalpaiguri. Those places, especially in the tea gardens area, where you have a lot of tribal students and of course Dalit students there, including Muslims. There I could see that sense, no, right after class 5, people are doing a lot of apart from household work and all, they're also going to nearby fields and nearby local industry and also many other things. We don't have real predictions. I'm sure that base would like to, along with if Ajim Premji foundations or maybe institutions like this, including base and all, they can do this kind of empirical work where we can basically influence some sort of on policy, or maybe we can sort of help in the policy making or policy advocacy things in with the government. By the way, we are very proud that at least Azim Premji University, in spite of being a private initiative, but they are absolutely committed towards a public and social cause. This is, I think, one of the few universities, a private university, who are actively, canvassing and sort of promoting public educations, especially for underprivileged students across India.
Precisely, Professor Muthan, I am very much agree with you. I just want to add with your point that the 1 to 4 dropout in 1 to 4, yeah, is it adequate, or how much the quantity that we as an organizations, I am the part of the Arjun Foundation, Ajin Premji Foundation now. We are expecting that due to the learning gaps in the primary stage in 1 to 4, there are sort of learning outcomes or learning objectives there, but as these are not completing and students will be they are upgrading in the next standard, and they won't be able to meet the teacher's expectation, they will get frustrated, and in the home also they are not learning, especially the first generation learner and the marginal students, so they will get demotivated, and eventually they will we are expecting it that there will be a lot of impact and dropout in the primary level also, in 1 to 4 also, and obviously, yeah, the work the kind of work Ajin Premji Foundation and Ajin Premji University is doing is admirable, yeah.
Well, any other questions, or otherwise we will, wind up this session and we'll give it to Hassan Bhai, our another Hassan. We have two Hassan here. So we'll have our base Hassan, yeah. Hassan Dabak. Hassan Dabak Bhai,
Yes,
please,
yes,
you go ahead with the further proceedings. And I would
yes.
like to
Now
thank all the speakers. Yeah, please.
yes. Now I would request Professor Jahira Hussain, uh, who is an assistant professor, Department of English, Surendranath College, Kolkata, to deliver the formal vote of thanks. So, Jahira Hussain, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Hassan bhai. Am I audible properly?
Yes,
Hello?
yes. Yeah, you're
Okay,
audible.
okay. Thank you so much. First of all, congratulations to the entire team. It has been a wonderful session. It has been really wonderful both the days. So congratulations to the entire team for making this happen. So, as we have reached the very end of the 2-day national level online conference on crisis and after society, culture, and politics, organized by Bengali Academia for Social Empowerment. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to take the opportunity to convey our vote of thanks to the esteemed people involved in the conference in various ways. At first, I would like to thank both our conveners of this 2-day national level online conference, Sheikh Abid Hassan and Hassan Dhabuk, for successfully organizing and conducting this online conference. This conference is a result of their consistent effort, and we are very much thankful to both of them for shouldering the responsibility so efficiently. Thank you, Hassan and Abid, for all the hard work, and congratulations to both of you. Thanks to our esteemed chair for today's sessions, Professor Abdul Mateen, who is a BASE trustee member and treasurer also. Thank you so much, Professor Mateen, for taking out your valuable time to chair the sessions. Your erudite presence and significant deliberations always make our academic sessions so precious. Thanks again for chairing such long sessions and your learned observations. Thanks to our esteemed participants for presenting the well-researched papers and addressing all the queries with their valuable deliberations. It has been really a very engaging session, and all of your papers have been discussed with much academic interest. Thanks and congratulations to all of you. We look forward and hope that you will get back to us for future academic engagements. Thank you Thanks to our presenter Nafis Haidar, Aligarh Muslim University, for the paper on pandemic and the new normal. Thank you Junaid Ahmed Ehsan and Magna Mohapatra, South Asian University, for the very insightful and enriching deliberations in your paper on After Apocalypse, a critical inquiry of the politics of hope. I would like to thank Imran Ahmed and Anayatullah Maglu, University of Kashmir, for sharing their findings on COVID-19 and domestic violence in Kashmir, Voices from Women. Thank you so much for taking up this wonderful and very interesting topic and very relevant topic. Thank you so much, Khalifa Banu and MD Hassan Mondal from Azim Premji University, for addressing the issue of pre-service teacher education at the time of pandemic, articulations of challenges, opportunities, and confusions by teacher, educator, and student teachers. Thank you so much. Thanks is also due to our in-house members, the members of BASE office, the technical team, and all BASE EC members for providing us with the help and support to conduct the conference. Thanks to BASE President, Secretary, and all the respected trustee members of BASE. And last, but definitely not the least, thanks to our participants for the wonderful support you all have lavished on us throughout the lecture series and for the two-day conference 2020. Thanks to all of you for staying true, for trusting us so much. We are very much grateful to all of you. With these few words, and thanking everyone who have been directly or indirectly involved with this conference, I would like to hand over the portal to Hassan. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay healthy, take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Professor Zahira Hussain. So, so I'd request everyone to leave the session. So,
Hassan bhai, where is
good
our
night.
coffee and tea and snacks? Like this is dinner time. Or send some e-coffee or e-dinner, no?
Yes, yes, yes. We should send it.